Welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to take a look at 2019 American drama horror film called Funhouse. Billionaire Nero Alexander casually sits in his chair, leg on leg, looking at a phone in his hand as a woman bashes another with a baseball bat. She stops and looks at him, but Nero urges her to continue. She pleads with him to stop, but he states that she must complete the task. The woman grabs a knife and starts furiously stabbing the corpse. She rips its heart out, putting it on a tray, and lays it at the sadist's feet. He watches her, chuckling. The woman collapses on the floor and starts bawling. On Nero's order, his guard puts a suitcase filled with money in the woman's arms and takes her away. After that, Nero starts scrolling through an article on his phone showing top 10 fails at fame. Casper Norden, a man from a fail at fame list, awakens in a strange, dimly lit room and starts observing his surroundings, wearing a baffled expression on his face. He finds a welcome card near his pillow. As he grabs it, a voice through the speakers welcomes him to the Funhouse House of Fun and instructs him to get dressed and go to the common room. A flashback shows his advisor telling him about a new reality show. Casper says he doesn't want to participate, but his advisor insists he joins, saying this could be his key to fame and success. Casper goes outside and sees a few others there. More people slowly pool out to the common room, seemingly just as confused as him. It's revealed that they too one day woke up at this house, not having a single clue how they got there. A screen at the front turns on, welcoming them to the Funhouse, where they'll be broadcasted live throughout the world. The contestants are introduced: Ula, an Instagram model; Headstone, a wrestler; Kat, an actress; Dex, a rapper; Lonnie, a dating show host; Nevin, a YouTuber; Zimna, a hazing website owner; and Casper, the ex-husband of a pop star. After the introductions, Zimna apologizes to Lonnie and Casper, who were the victims of her hazing, but offense has already been taken. An animated panda appears on screen and introduces itself as Funhouse and explains that every 3 days, the viewer's vote will decide who leaves until a winner is chosen. If two contestants end up at the bottom as a tie, they will face a challenge that'll decide who stays. Zimna asks about the cameras. Funhouse says they're hidden all around the house and the videos will be blurred while they're in the shower, however they can choose to remove the blur feature. Nevin declares he's claustrophobic, but Funhouse says he's confined to the house since the terms were made clear in the contract. Funhouse leaves after this as the others clap for him. The contestants start enjoying their time at the house, singing, swimming, and fooling games. Friends are made while Ula and Headstone start dating. Every day, they're taken to a confession room to speak live to their viewers. People on television and YouTube start commenting on this new reality show. In the first few days, Casper immediately bonds with Lonnie. They talk about their past TV shows, both of which unfortunately ended in failure. Headstone joins them and Lonnie soon leaves. After a bit of chatter with Casper, Headstone teaches him a few lines his dad used to say while making a toast. They both say the lines and drink. 3 days later, Funhouse reveals the votes through the screen with Ula at the top and Lonnie and Nevin at the bottom. Funhouse remarks that removing the blur feature in the shower must have done Ula some good. Since Lonnie and Nevin have a tie, it's time for their challenge, which is announced to be a piñata party. The others laugh as the easy-peasy challenge, and the two are escorted to the challenge room by the Funhouse helper. Zimna attacks Ula's strategy, saying she used her body to gain more views. As a result, the women end up in a heated argument. The contestants are shown Lonnie through the glass as her challenge begins. A piñata is lowered next to her and her vision is blocked. However, once she's unable to see, the piñata is pulled up and a bound and gagged Nevin is lowered right next to her. The others freak out and start yelling and banging at the room's door, but to no avail. Lonnie starts unknowingly beating Nevin with the baseball. The others watch in horror as he slowly and tortuously meets his demise. Lonnie is then told to remove her goggles. She looks at the battered corpse of Nevin and collapses, bawling her eyes out. It is revealed that Funhouse is controlled by Nero. He explains to the horrified contestants that only one of them will leave the funhouse alive. If anyone tries to escape, he or she will be given the most painful death. The comments of a YouTuber on the show reveal that the funhouse is being considered a staged show. People can't seem to believe they witnessed the live torture. While shaken contestants are sitting in the common room, Dex remarks they need to escape. Casper reminds him what Funhouse says, but the frustrated Dex refuses to think rationally. After seeing the sky through the glass of plants area, he breaks the glass and gets inside, despite the others' warnings. However, as soon as he steps in, the sky, which turns out to be a projected image, disappears to reveal a roof. Nero's workers appear bearing guns to take Dex away. When he refuses to go, they shoot him in the leg and take him. The others are made to watch as a bound Dex is put in a drum and strong acid is poured into it. Dex screams in agony as his flesh and bones start dissolving into the acid. The media now realizes that the Funhouse is indeed a sadistic torture chamber, but others still present their theories of drama for ratings. Dex is pulled up to show the others his lower half fully dissolved. The others look in horror as his innards hanging from what's left of his body. Funhouse appears on screen and tells them to learn from Dex's punishment. When the contestants go to the confession room next, instead of cheerfully asking for votes, they cry and beg for them. On live TV, Darla, Casper's famous ex-wife, talks about his harmless and sweet personality, begging Furcus to stop the game, but the sadist is nothing but entertained by her pleas. While drinking together, the contestants ask Casper about Darla. He tells them his story, how he met her, instantly fell in love with her, and married her. While the others look in awe, Headstone cuts a joke, making them all laugh. Ula remarks they're not in a situation to laugh, which Zimna says they can't sleep and cry all day like her. Funkus appears and tells him the scores from the most recent votes. This time, Kat seems to be on top, while Ula and Zimna have ended up at the bottom. Ula shows her disappointment at ending up with the same score as Zimna. Zimna gets enraged and starts yelling at her. Furcus announces Blind Rage as their next challenge as the minions appear and take the girls away, threatening to shoot anyone who interferes. In the challenge room, the girls are given axes and told that as soon as the lights turn off, they'll have to fight blindly until one of them dies. The lights are then cut, but the others are shown the competition through night vision. The girls start swinging their axes, but Ula soon drops hers. While crying, she gets on all fours, looking for her axe as furious Zimna swings her axe around viciously. Ula finds her axe and swings at Zimna, whose cursing makes her position much predictable, thus splitting her head in half. After this, Ula gets desperate for views. Believing her body to be her only weapon, she again displays it. Nero appears to be greatly amused by her desperation. An IT expert on the television explains that through numerous Tor and Onion connections, the game hosts have protected their location. Moreover, the live broadcast cannot be prevented since the host uses Onion routing. Casper awakens in the middle of the night after hearing a crash. He goes outside to see Headstone passed out on the floor. He tries to get him to bed but is unable to. After he covers him with a blanket, Ula calls him to her. Seeing her extremely depressed, Casper carries her to her room. When he lays her down, she requests him to stay. She asks him to make love to her, saying it might give them enough votes, and kisses him. But Casper politely refuses. Headstone notices their proximity from the door and barges in before grabbing Casper by the neck. When Lonnie intervenes, Headstone lets him go and leaves, seething in anger. The next day, Funkus reveals the new votes for them. Due to his kindness, Casper had made it to the top while Ula has ended at the bottom. Funkus remarks that the viewers got bored of Ula's lewd displays, which was evident given there's so much variety just a click away. Greatly disturbed, Ula cries and talks about her life where everyone has always treated her like an object and only liked her for her body. Funcups claps at her heart-touching speech but says it's a little too late to be authentic now. Ula is taken to the challenge room and her challenge is announced, Forget Me Not, where she has to match a pair of her Instagram photos in under 2 minutes. As the countdown begins, she hurriedly starts looking through her photos. She gets close to victory, however when the timer runs out, she still has 2 pairs to match. Funkus declares that she now has to spin a wheel to choose her fate. The dark parts represent a painful death through different torture methods, while the white parts represent a quick bullet to the head. Upon landing on a golden part, her challenge will be passed on to the next contestant with the lowest votes and she'll be safe. He then tells her to spin, saying if she doesn't, he'll choose a torture method for her. Ula approaches the wheel and spins it, which unfortunately lands on a black part, the rack. As a minion approaches her, Ula jumps at him and bites into his neck in rage. However, another one knocks her out using the rear of his gun. When she awakens, she finds herself spread-eagled on the ground with her limbs bound. The stretching soon starts, making her scream in agony, and her limbs are slowly ripped apart. The next day, the contestants are given gifts, pictures of theirs with their loved ones. They start crying as realization dawns on them that they'll never see their family again. Casper is given a photo of him with Darla since his parents had died a long time ago in an accident, while Headstone is given one with his daughter. While Casper is sitting by the pool crying, Lonnie approaches him. He tells her that it'll make no difference if he lives or dies. Nobody awaits him at his house and he'll always be known as Darla's ex-husband. Lonnie, however, tells him that his life does matter. Casper says he owes her an explanation about Ula, but Lonnie stops him, saying she doesn't feel right talking about her. In another show, Darla talks about her life with Casper and declares she'll always love him. When the votes are revealed next, Casper turns out to be the top, while Headstone ends up at the bottom. Before leading Headstone to his death room, Funkus shows him the video of Ola and Casper, thus revealing how Ula was the one that offered and Casper refused. Guilty, Headstone apologizes to Casper. Headstone's challenge is then announced, Deathmatch. 4 deadly fighters are shown on the screen and the audience is given the right to choose its opponent via voting. The voting begins. People all around the world excitedly vote the most vicious killer, treating the contestants' lives as worthless game. The fighter called Bottas is chosen at the end. The contestants make a toast to Headstone and he's led to the challenge room. His confession from earlier is shown where he tells his daughter she's all that matters to him and that is his life. As he leaves the chair, we're brought back to the challenge room where Bottas enters the room. Funkus dictates the rules. They have to fight until one dies. Headstone leads the first punch, taking the lead. As the fight progresses, he beats Bodis up, maintaining a lead. However, soon Bodis gets in the spirit and lands a few blows. The fight ends as Headstone grabs Bodis by the neck and holds him down until he suffocates to death. The other contestants cheer at his triumph, unable to believe he won, but Nero soon replaces smiles on their faces with fear. He lets the other 3 fighters into the room, saying Headstone must take them all at once. Realizing his death is now evident, Headstone tells Nero he'll await him in hell. He then looks at Casper through the glass and starts reciting the lines he taught him earlier. They say the rhyme, line by line, before Headstone goes face to face with the fighters and eventually is beaten to death. As Casper sits in the common room brooding, Funkiss suddenly appears, asking what he's thinking. Casper tells him he's wondering what kind of person he must be to gain the pleasure by watching innocent people die. Nero tells him that these people are useless failures who have been brought to fame without talent or struggle. People like scientists and inventors actually deserve the fame these failures get. Casper remarks there must be more, indicating Nero must have faced trauma in his life and he's doing this to get back at the world. Nero tells him he's doing it to cleanse the world of their sickness, so that people may start focusing on the people who actually matter. He adds he's entertaining people since it's human nature to love death and violence. As Lonnie appears, Nero declares he'll stop third-wheeling and leaves. Casper tells Lonnie that he's glad he got a chance to know her. Lonnie says she feels the same, but she wishes she met him at a grocery store instead. After this exchange, the two end up in bed, spending the night in heated passion. Kat also puts on a show for the audience, pleasuring herself while looking straight into the camera. The next morning, the votes reveal that Casper has maintained his position on the top while Kat has ended in last place. Furcus announces Kat's challenge, the chess master. While Kat is playing against Nero, aided by his minion, the FBI managed to track the Funhouse location through the connections. Nero soon checkmates Kat, defeating her. She's then taken to the wheel to decide her fate. When she spins, it lands on past the buck, the golden area that means she's in the safe zone, and her challenge shall pass on to the next contestant with the lowest votes. The minions go to get Lonnie, but Casper holds her back. He begs Nero to let him take her place. After a bit of hesitation, Nero agrees to let him take her place. As Casper is taken to the challenge room, the FBI are seen approaching the Funhouse. Funkiss declares Pistols at Dawn to be Casper's challenge. When the screen turns off, Casper only sees Kat at the other side and freaks out. Nero remarks that he makes the rules and thus Casper's next challenge is against Lonnie. He gives them pistols and tells them to stand back to back, walk 10 paces, turn around and shoot. If they choose not to comply, he says he'll lock Lonnie up in a steel cow and force Casper to eat her. The two of them stand back to back and start stepping forward on Nero's instructions. As they turn and point their guns at each other, the FBI reach an opening marked by the Funhouse logo. They open it to see the severed heads of the dead contestants around a bear holding a bomb. They realize they've been fooled and walk away. Casper and Lonnie nod to each other while holding the guns. They put the guns to their chins and pull the trigger, committing suicide together. Nero thus announces Kat as the winner. A disheveled cat comes up a road amidst the woods and flags a car as a voice in the back declares she was found safe and sound. The FBI questioned her to gain information about Furcut's whereabouts, but the clueless girl sits through them all with an emotionless face. While he's playing the piano at his house, Nero turns to see Kat standing behind him. He approaches her and they both start making out. Kat remarks that next time she won't let him win the chess match, thus indicating the fate of the show had been decided since the very beginning. Thanks for watching, guys!